Hello. We're in the final countdown. My name is Dayo Oshinubi. I am physically at the GWS office. I will be moderating the workshop today on behalf of the Ghana Wildlife Society. I see quite a good number of people have joined. There's still more people waiting to be admitted. Let's try to get that going. All right. Sorry, I was muted. So thank you, everyone. Thank you all for joining. I'm looking at the time and it's time for us to get started. So I'm not going to do the official introduction. That's going to be done by Professor Owusu, but I'll introduce myself first. My name is Samuel Temidayo Oshinubi. Please call me Dayo. I work for BirdLife, but I'm supporting the Ghana Wildlife Society in this with this endeavor. There are some new faces, but there are also some very, very, very familiar faces. So I'd like to say welcome to all of you. Some quick housekeeping rules. Please, I'm going to request that everyone mute their mic when they are not speaking as much as possible. Please mute your mic when you're not speaking. And it is nice to have the video, but oftentimes it can be a bit of a distraction. So what I might suggest is you can turn off your video because that might also help with the bandwidth. But if you are the speaker, while projecting your screen, you can also, you can also turn on your video. For those, I have my gas mask here, my COVID mask. It's a bit high grade, but yeah. So if you're with people, it's not a problem. Okay, yes, I see Gregory has his own very colorful mask as well. Very nice. So thanks again, everyone. If it's okay, I would like to, I'm looking at the program now. I would like to turn the tables. I'd like to give the floor to Professor Erasmus, to Professor Owusu, to give the opening remarks. I am going to mute my mic and I'm going to stop my video. So, sir, over to you.
Good morning. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello? Good morning, sir. We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Distinguished participants. Sorry about that. Thank you very much. I must say I'm very happy to see everybody online. I'm not the executive director for Wildlife Society. I'm stepping in for our friend, Eric, who is not able to join us this morning because he's not well. So I was called upon yesterday to step in for him. And I'm doing this in my capacity as a member of the Wildlife Society Council. My present position is an associate professor in conservation science, and I'm the director of the Center for Climate Change at the University of Ghana. I can see that we have our Excellency Gregory Andrews, yes, from the Australian High Commission, who has joined us. I can see on the program Ulf Hudson.
Somebody.
This is Dekuma. I'm not sure whether they've joined us now, but what I want to say is that I'm very happy to see all these names. Most of the people are very familiar to me. I was once upon a time the executive director for Wildlife Society, and I was a council member for BirdLife International. So the terrain is purely my terrain. And I would like to say that the bird work in this country, the fire that was put in it in the early 90s was started by myself and my group led by Professor Yain Tiamabedu. We did our best to revive interest in bird conservation in the country, and that enthusiasm has not died down, and we are still carrying it on. And GWS has been at the forefront. So in actual fact, when you come into the country and you want to talk about birds, everybody will direct you to the Ghana Wildlife Society. And this has been a positive sign for the organization, to the extent that sometimes back, even when people wanted to get information on birds and they went to the Wildlife Division, they will be directed to the Wildlife Society. So I don't think what Wildlife Society is trying to do now is out of place at all. It's right in the direction that the organization set itself up to do when it was established in 1991. Now, I remember the IBA days, that's the Important Bird Areas of Ghana. We were the pioneers of that team. And we went to places to survey birds in the country. In fact, in the IBA surveys, we surveyed 120 forest reserves across the country. And I remember in one of the villages where we went and as part of the community entry, went to see the chief. And he asked us a simple question: what has brought you here? And then we said, we've been asked to come and look at the birds here. And then he said, what about that? He said, we are going to count the birds. What do you have here? Then he started laughing. And there was an elderly woman there who went like, the chief shouldn't believe anything that we are going to say. No sane person will send anybody to come and count birds. So he shouldn't take us for any serious business. We had to play with them, said, yes, we are serious. Yes. Then he went like, the government asked you to come and count birds with our money? Just to tell you how, at the time, people were seeing birds. It was like, why do you have to count birds at all? Interestingly, over the years, there's been a growing interest in bird watching in the country. You're getting in numbers, people coming from Europe, Americas, and all that to come and watch birds. And now it's catching up with people. And to the extent that even within communities, people are becoming very much aware of the importance of birds. And I'm very, very happy about that. So if we go the way we want to go by this Atlas project, I'm sure that awareness that has been created already, right from the Save the Seashore Bird project in 1987 up to now, is going to even be increased and enhanced to help with bird conservation. I remember when Eric told me about the Bird Atlas, I went like, what exactly are you talking about? Bird Atlas projects for Ghana? Because I'm aware we have the Important Bird Areas project, which we published a book. We have the Bird Atlas that was done by the Dawsons. So what exactly are you talking about? It was later on that when I read into details, I realized that this was going to take a new dimensions using citizen science approach, which for me is excellent. And I want to thank all of you, especially the leaders of the project, for initiating this. And I think if you're able to do this, we are really going to enhance and in fact, make bird watching very popular. Anytime I went to East Africa, I looked at how people were very enthusiastic about birds and I compared it to Ghana. In fact, we did a West African sub-region, especially Ghana, and I was like, no, I don't think we are there yet. So I am very happy this is going to start, and I've seen that we have some examples from Kenya, Nigeria, and Liberia, and Sierra Leone. I'm looking forward to that, especially the experiences from the West African sub-region, how it has worked. I'll be very happy to hear that. So on that note, I won't waste too much time. I'll end here and welcome everybody onto the platform and say that this is a wonderful thing that we are going to do, and everybody should enjoy it and support it at the end of the day. Unfortunately, I have another meeting, the Deans of and Directors meeting at the same time, and I've asked permission to spend the first 10 minutes to do this. I'll go off, and then after that meeting, I'll rejoin. So thank you very much for your participation in this, and I wish you the best of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for that very valuable, for the very useful background information. I do know that, speaking personally, that difference between the Ghana Wildlife Society and the Ghana Wildlife Division, the NGO and the government, we're all together for conservation. So it's always good to sort of give that broad, that overview. And the IBA background as well, the important bird area. Thank you very much for speaking to that. So to keep the tempo going, I will now give the floor to His Excellency Gregory Andrews, the Australian High Commissioner to Ghana, but not just Ghana, to a number of countries in West Africa as well. And he'll be speaking about approaches to bird conservation and some specific species. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Deo, and Professor Erasmus as well. And please, everybody call me Gregory. I know that they do have these terms like excellence, but actually, if one person's excellent, we should all be excellent. So just call me Gregory. That'd be lovely if you don't mind. So it's an absolute honor and privilege to be invited to speak today. It's my first conference that I'm attending here in West Africa. And actually, I would just like to acknowledge the peoples, all the different peoples, indigenous and non-indigenous peoples of Ghana, and also all of the other countries to which I'm accredited: Togo, Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. And thank you very much for having me. Actually, I thought what I could do today was actually just share some of my favorite Australian birds with you. So I'll just try and share my screen with you in a minute and share a few of my favorite birds, and then talk about how we protect birds in Australia, the legal, but also the community ways that we do that, if that's okay. Can everybody hear me? If you give me a thumbs up, I'll know that it's working.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. All right, so look, I'll start by sharing my screen, and I hope this works. I just need to work out how to do it because I'm a little bit, I'm relatively tech savvy, but not hugely tech savvy. Oh, it says that the host has disabled attendee screen sharing. So if you could, if it was possible, Deo, to enable that, it would be good. But if not,
I just did.
Oh, wonderful.
We just did.
All right. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you now. Great. Well, this is interesting. I'll just try this button here, and we'll see how we go. I think there's a few technical things that I need to do. Oh, I hope this doesn't, I really hope this doesn't make me quit Zoom.
No.
If it does, I'll just have to reconnect.
No, it says that all participants can share screen.
Great, all right. I'm a little bit, it's the first time I've shared a screen on Zoom. I've done it on Skype and other things, so we'll just try it. Oh, here we go. I think it's going to work now. Here we go.
Yeah.
How
It's
is
working.
that? Is that working? Great. Okay, so this bird is one of my favorite birds in Australia, and it's actually called the purple-crowned fairy wren. And if you look quite closely, you can see somebody's finger down at the bottom. It's a tiny, tiny little bird, and it's one of our endangered species. And you may have read, actually, in my last job, I was actually Australia's Threatened Species Commissioner. So I was a little bit like an ambassador, but instead of being an ambassador to other countries for Australia, I was an ambassador for all of our endangered animals and plants to Australians to raise awareness and mobilise science and money to save them. And this gorgeous little bird actually is a habitat specialist. It lives in pandanus creek lines in the Kimberley region, which is in the northwest of Australia, which is kind of a bit like, I would imagine, the north of Ghana. It's sort of savanna country with boab trees and a wet and a dry season. And this bird's threatened by habitat degradation because grazing and feral animals damage its habitat. And because it's a habitat specialist, it can't really find other places to live. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous because of its purple crown. My second favourite bird in Australia is the cassowary, which is actually the heaviest bird in the world. I think the ostrich is the biggest or tallest bird in the world, but the cassowary is the heaviest. And you could almost call it the ostrich of the forest. So the cassowaries live in the dense tropical rainforest of far north Queensland, and they have that huge casque on their head. And the scientists still aren't 100% sure whether it's almost like a bike helmet to protect them from hitting their heads on things in the jungle. But increasingly, they think it's actually for communication because it resonates a bit like a drum. And so, yeah, the cassowaries are quite an extraordinary bird, and they play a really important role in they're kind of like the gardeners of our rainforest, because there are more than 120 plants that have to be eaten and digested by a cassowary to grow. So a lot of the tropical trees and vines in Australia's far north east, the seeds won't germinate unless they've been through a cassowary's gut and excuse my language, but pooed out of a cassowary. So I think that's why I like them, because they're sort of like the gardeners of the forest. This next bird is a honeyeater, and it's called the helmeted honeyeater. And a really interesting thing about Australia is we have our eucalyptus trees, which produce a lot of flowers and nectar. And I think Australia is the only continent on Earth where nearly all of the trees rely on birds to pollinate. So most other continents, some birds pollinate. Like here, I imagine the beautiful little sunbirds would definitely be pollinators. But in Australia, all the large trees rely on honeyeaters and lorikeets for their pollinizing. Next bird I've got here is another of our wren species. And I really like this bird. I think I'm also just quite proud because I took this photo myself, and I'm not a professional photographer, but this bird is called the Mallee emu wren, and it's a tiny wren, and because the tail feathers, which are big, fly. Parrot, and actually you can't see in this photo, but they have a little blob of orange on their stomach, and the orange-bellied parrot is critically endangered, and it's actually one of only 2 parrots in the world that are migratory species. So yeah, Australia has the 2 parrot species that are migratory, the orange-bellied parrot and the swift parrot. And basically the orange-bellied parrots live in Tasmania, which is a large island in the south of Australia. They spend their summer in Tasmania, but then in winter they fly across Bass Strait, they fly across the sea and to mainland Australia, where they feed in winter. And their numbers have dropped to about 50 in the wild. There's a breeding program of well over 300 in zoos. But basically the total weight of the orange-bellied parrots in the wild, the global biomass, I think it's called according to the science, is about 3 kilograms. So they're incredibly rare, and they're affected by climate change and habitat degradation and feral cats and foxes which prey on them when they're on the ground. This bird is actually what we call our splendid fairy wren. And I know you have your splendid sunbird, and like it really needs no explanation just to say how exquisite looking it is. You can see it there. And then the last bird I wanted to share with you is this bird. It's called the ringneck parrot. And in the indigenous languages of Northern and Central Australia, it's called patilpa. And actually, for short, we call them tilly birds. And actually, I named my daughter after that parrot. So, yeah, so that's a bit of a summary of my favorite. Oh, I've got one more, sorry. This is our biggest eagle. This is Australia's wedge-tailed eagle, which is our largest bird of prey, and just an incredibly powerful bird with a wingspan probably about as big as some of the vultures that you have here in Africa. Yeah, so that's a presentation of my favorite birds. And I'd be happy, I'm not sure how you plan to do Q&A, Deo, but I can talk about how we protect our birds, and I'd be happy to do that first and then take questions and answers, or talk now as well if you want.
Okay, so maybe we can just take the talk now. We have made time for discussions right at the end, okay, if that is okay, if that does not take too much of your time.
I'm just going to try and work out how to turn off the screen sharing. Sorry for being a little bit incompetent. I don't know if you say this in Ghana, but like actually I'm 52, so I'm not that old, but I come to sometimes, you know, the people who are 20 years younger than me have no problem with any of the technology. Whereas I sort of call myself like a successful migrant, because I've arrived and I can use the technology. But when I went to university, I started with a typewriter that went click, clack, click, clack. So yeah, I've successfully integrated, and I do love technology, but I find it a bit hard sometimes. Yeah, so all right, the second point of my presentation, which the Ghana Wildlife Society asked me to share with you, is basically how do we protect birds in Australia? What do we do to protect our birds? And I made a list of 5 key things that I think are the most important for protecting our birds. And the first thing we do is we have a law which is called the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act. And according to that law, if there's any development that has a significant impact, so for example, if somebody wanted to clear some land to build something, a school or a factory or a road or a railway line, then they have to have an environmental impact assessment done. And according to the environmental impact assessment, if there are any impacts on what in Australia we call significant, any significant impact. So basically, like if there's any impact on any endangered species, or what we call ecological communities, which is basically like rainforests or different ecosystems that are endangered, then our laws in Australia require Australian companies or government or whoever is developing the land to first reduce the impact. Second, first, avoid the impact. Second, reduce the impact. And third, offset the impacts that can't be avoided or reduced. And what the offsets do is it's a little bit like a carbon offset market. The offsets actually create a system where if a company can't avoid or reduce a negative environmental impact, to be allowed to create that damage to the environment, it must first find and protect an equivalent amount of ecology of the same value somewhere else and protect it in perpetuity. So the EPBC Act, we call it the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Act, it creates a legal framework to protect our animals and plants, and particularly to prioritise the ones that are in danger. And you may wonder, oh, why do we have that law? And I think one really important reason is that in Australia, and like so many other countries, and I'm still new to Ghana, but I'm sure it's the same here, but our animals and plants really define who we are as a nation. So we have, like you can see here, I'm having a cup of tea, and on my cup, our coat of arms has a kangaroo and an emu. And our national airline, Qantas, it has a kangaroo on its tail. So basically, companies and farmers and park rangers, everybody's working together and with the national leadership of the Threatened Species Commissioner. And so, if you're interested in that, I would encourage you to have a look on Facebook or Twitter. And if you just search Threatened Species Commissioner, you'll find the current Commissioner, Sally Box, and you'll be able to see the terrific work that she's doing. The third out of my 5 points about what we do in Australia to protect birds is I think we have a really strong and vibrant non-government organisation community. And I have to say that one of my favourite organisations in Australia is BirdLife Australia. I've always been a champion of BirdLife Australia, and they do excellent work on the science and on promotion, but they also do a really good job with community engagement. And I'll talk about that in a minute, because that's my last point. But as an example, BirdLife Australia, every year they organise something called Backyard Birdwatch, and they have an app where you can record sightings, and they encourage everybody to spend 1 week bird watching and reporting on all the birds that they see in their backyard. And now what that does is it actually has, over the years, it's created a bit of a baseline of data that they can use to assess how birds are travelling. But more importantly, what it does is it gets everyday people interested in birds. It gets them out looking and identifying birds in their backyard. And then it encourages them to think about how to protect them. So our non-government community. My fourth point is we have our system of national protected areas, which traditionally have included national parks. And I'm proud to say, Australia, we've met our target under the Biodiversity Convention. In Australia, I think 18% of Australia, 17 or 18% of Australia is now protected areas. But the really interesting thing we've done is we've let the private sector and individuals and families and communities participate and create protected areas. So our national protected area system includes obviously our national park network and our national Indigenous protected areas, which are the lands of our Indigenous people that are protected. but also individual people can buy land and then they can protect it through covenanting processes in perpetuity. And so to give you an example at a personal level, my family, my wife and I and my children, we own 50 hectares of bushland. After we'd finished paying off the mortgage on our house, I said to my wife, I want to buy some land and protect it and look after it for the animals and plants that are on it. So we own 50 hectares of land, but we also have put a conservation covenant on it, and it's now, technically it is now part of Australia's national protected area. And so we have a contract with a statutory authority where we make a promise that we will never chop down the trees, we will never develop it. So the legal protection of the land is actually just the same or stronger than the protection of the national parks. And one day when I die, whoever owns that land, whether my children keep it or if they sell it, the protection stays on the land. So it's no longer a commitment just for me, it's a commitment that stays on that land in perpetuity. So I shared that because in the long run, I think we have to rely on more than just governments for conservation. And in Australia, increasingly, like private people, families, companies, community organisations are buying land and putting covenants on the land. And a really interesting thing about the conservation covenanting is we're finding that it's increasing the value of the land, because biodiversity has become a valuable commodity. So land that is protected for conservation can actually be worth more than land that's not protected. So yeah, so that's 4. And then very finally 5, I mentioned community engagement, but I really can't emphasize enough how important it is to engage with the community and relate to real people for conservation. And when I first became the Threatened Species Commissioner, I realised that in Australia, for example, we have our wallaby species, our remarkable macropods and their marsupials with the pouch. And we've actually already lost 8 wallabies to extinction and 16 more are at risk of extinction. And we name our national rugby team the Wallabies. And we name our football team the Socceroos, because we call football soccer in Australia. We name them the Socceroos. But I realised that Australia, and we have a kangaroo on the tail of Qantas. So I realised that Australians care about their wildlife, but they didn't know the animals that were disappearing. But they all knew who Kim Kardashian was, the lady in America who's famous for being a celebrity, but for no reason except for being a celebrity. And then that made me realise that we've got to get a lot better at community engagement, because we need to compete with Kim Kardashian for the attention of everyone. So that's the end of my presentation, and I'm absolutely delighted to sit in and listen and take any questions if there's any time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gregory. We do have a question here for you, but if it's okay, we'll take most of the questions at the end, if that is okay. Thanks for that. And thanks for the really good presentation and for the photos. There are a lot of questions and a lot of ideas. Maybe we can have a backyard photo competition in Ghana as well or something. Maybe we can set something up. But to push on because of time, I will now like to give the floor to Dr. Ulf Otterson. He's one of my supervisors, one of my professors. He's one of those that contributed to where I am today. So thank you very much, Papa Ulf. I would like to welcome Dr. Ulf Otterson to speak on the introduction to the African Bird Atlas Project. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dio. I hope you all can hear me. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Gregory, do you hear me? Good, thank you. As you see, I've taken on my Ghana shirt today. I've been visiting Ghana a couple of times. Today I want to talk about African Bird Atlas that comes up after we successfully started the Nigeria Bird Atlas some years back. And now I will try to share my screen. I'm in this screen. Did it come up?
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
Okay, good. And it come up after we had successfully launched the Nigerian Bird Atlas. And when Professor Les Underhill and Colin Jackson visited Aplori, together with Michael Brooks and some other people, we come up with the idea we wanted to try to enlarge the program into countries beyond Southern Africa, where the South African Bird Atlas had been going on for some years, and Kenya Bird Atlas was started just before Nigeria. Okay, let's do like this. So now to a little bit of myself first. I'm a senior lecturer at Aplori Apeleventis Ornithological Research Institute, and I've been working there since 2003, and I visited Nigeria the first time in 1998. And now we are driving, the Nigerian Bird Atlas is placed at the university, at Aplori, and we will hear some of my colleagues a bit later. But I'm not from Africa, as you can see, even if I have a Ghana shirt on me. I'm from Sweden, where I am now, and my career as a young ornithologist started at Utembi Bird Observatory, where I worked a lot since 1979 and up to and from up to last year. And as a young biologist, we saw birds flying away. Here, long-tailed tits, they don't fly to Africa, but a lot of other birds fly to Africa, and we wanted to follow them. So in 1985, me and some of my friends from Utembi and Sweden decided to go to Africa to follow our migrant birds. So in 1985, we arrived in Ghana to study birds, and Accra in 1985 looks quite different compared to today. And at that time, there was only 1.5 ornithologists in the whole of Ghana. You have Uncle David, and you had an upcoming professor, Yani Chamra Baidu, but at that time, hardly knew any birds. So the African Bird Atlas project aims to map all of the African bird species and describe their status with help from citizen scientists. And the distribution of species is a fundamental tool when you want to conserve it. And we hope that with the help of many citizen scientists, the African Bird Atlas will provide a powerful tool for conservation. Why start this project? Yes, it gives you a lot of basic knowledge, a tool for conservation, but not the least, it's increased the awareness of people going out in the bush and study birds and other wildlife. People go out and we learn more and more, so we build the capacity when it comes of conservation issues and faunistic capacity, being able to recognize different kinds of birds. And this is citizen science, the voluntary people from the community that go out and do science in a simple way, but can be very helpful. If we look into Africa as a whole, we have about what we call pentats. I will come back to that later, 400,000 pentats. And today the coverage is for the whole of Africa is about 5%. But then there's a bias to the southeast, or the south, to Kenya and to Nigeria. But you will see there are some dots in other countries like Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Senegal, especially Ghana and Liberia. It's also because in Ghana and Liberia, Aplore have students where we have teach them how to do atlasing. The history behind the African Bird Atlas project comes from South Africa, where they're now on their second Bird Atlas project. They first had one Bird Atlas from 1987 to 1991, and then they started the second Bird Atlas 2007 using the protocol we have today. And before they were based on Animal Demography Unit, who is from the Statistical Institute, but now they are based on Percy Fitzpatrick Institute for African Ornithology. So beyond the South African Bird Atlas project, formal projects is now running in Nigeria and Kenya. And we have set up after workshops in Sierra Leone and Liberia, where they are start to grow a bit. And these are the first non-expat bird atlas projects in Africa. Students and recent students and bird club members that are from Africa, not expat visiting or working in Africa doing it. Nigeria is now actually on almost 20% coverage, and Kenya is a little bit behind, but almost also. I mean, Nigeria is plus 20%, and Kenya is almost 20%. I was trying to get the last figure, but then the web page went down just 15 minutes ago. I can come back to that. So here's how we look today, and we want to feel more, we will make Africa as a whole more colorful, and picking country by country. The tool we have, which Talato will talk about later, BirdLasser, it's an app on the phone, is now also in French. So we hope that, and also partly we'll go into Mozambique, later, Portuguese later. But in French, so most people in Africa can be able to use this app. Here's a coverage map of Nigeria. You can see that around Jos here has a lot of coverage, and also in Southwest, and then of course along roads. But we have a relatively good coverage of the country, apart from the northeastern region here. Northeast of Maiduguri, which is not a good area to go bird watching, as if you don't know any members of Boko Haram. Kenya has also good coverage, especially around Nairobi and along the coast and around the various national parks. But they also has a northeast corner here that's no atlasing, and that is because of Al-Shabaab. So we are facing ethnical and a religious problem also. Ghana have been covered a little along the coast and up to Mole, and Dorcas will talk about that more later. The challenge we have in Africa is people. If you compare to Sweden, we are 9 million people, now 10 million people, and we are 20,000 organized birdwatchers. Birdwatchers are members in BirdLife Sweden. South Africa, 56 million people, they have about 7,000 birdwatchers. Nigeria is 200 million people, and we are between 500 or up to 1,000 birdwatchers. We actually have almost 1,000 birdwatchers now registered in various bird clubs. And as a whole, Africa, 1.2 billion people, maybe 10,000 birdwatchers. So to make the bird atlas, African bird atlas, a reality, we need to reach out to more people. And the way we managed to do that in Nigeria was through bird clubs. And we have about 30 or more or less active bird clubs in Nigeria. And in many of these places is former students from Aplori that are the key members who have a know-how of birdwatching, ornithology, and the interest to lead these clubs and take initiative to start these groups. But it is not only Aplori people. There are several groups that have come up more or less themselves when they start to know about it. So these bird clubs lead to groups of citizen scientists, and some club members are more interested in atlasing than others. Some just use the bird club to go out and do bird watching every second weekend. But some gathers in group, and the first team, atlasing team that was developed was in the Southwest, called the Southwest Atlasing Team, the SWAT team. And they was a real success story, and I showed the way for many others. And they have themselves atlased more than 300 pentad squares in the Southwest and are still busy doing it. So here are the members, here's a SWAT team out in the bush, and they gather together, they borrow cars, they stay host and uncle, one person's mother is cooking, one sister is washing their clothes or whatever. And it's a good way of engaging into atlasing and also have a good time together. So when we talk about the protocol, Africa is divided into, for this protocol, in spatial units, squares that are 5 minutes times 5 minutes, latitude, longitude. And that is about 9 times 9 kilometers. So here you see the grid over the Accra Tema area. And for a full protocol list, you do at least 2 hours in this square, this pentad. And you make as a comprehensive species list as possible. And you plan beforehand, so you visit, you see if there's different habitats, you go into these different habitats, and you try to cover as much as possible. But that you spend at least 2 hours in that pentad. You don't need to do it 2 hours in a row. You can break it up to periods, longer or shorter, over a period of 5 days. So you need to cover it in 5 days, but 2 hours in 5 days is fine. When you have submit your list, you have to wait 5 days before you do the same pentad again. Because it's also important to do a pentad more than once over different seasons, so you cover the variation over season in bird species. And the tool we use, the app we use to register our birds in the field is BirdLasser, and Talato will talk about that in a few minutes. So Bird Atlas, we do science to increase the knowledge about the distribution of birds. But most importantly, it changed people's attitude. Increase, coming back to that again, increase the awareness, increase the knowledge, it builds capacity. And I think this is the most important part of Atlas, even more important than the distribution, because we are giving people a tool to come out in nature, increase awareness. Because we who know about conservation, we can't conserve the nature if people is not interested. If we need to have a lot of people behind these decisions to show to the policymakers that it's not only the scientist who knows and point out it. I mean, every lot of people want it like this. And that is how the conservation movement in Europe developed during the 20th century, with bird clubs, with different kinds of conservation organizations. And everything is about increasing awareness so people can tell the policymakers that this is wrong. They go out and do demonstrations and things. We haven't seen it in many places in Africa yet, but I hope this will be, the African Bird Atlas project will be one of the tools for us to reach out to the common people to increase their interest of nature and environment. And changing people's attitude. And there is a brilliant paper by Jacqueline Loos, who was doing a PhD in South Africa, in Cape Town, but she's from Romania and did a study on butterflies in Romania. And she says that citizen science projects make a mind shift to civic awareness. And by doing that, they also contribute to democracy. And isn't that beautiful that we go out as bird watching, and we're doing that, we shift people's mind and we can be part in to make a more democratic world. It might be a dream, but it's a possible, and it's a path we can lead people into, I think. So how does the Atlas work from the ground? Yeah. We get maps that show the true distribution of each species. We have seen the grid cells. We get lists for each grid cell. We capture this bird list into the computers, into a database now hosted by Fitzpatrick Institute. And with this data, we can plot maps showing where species actually were recorded. And since we are following a protocol where we put all birds in the order we see them, we also know that pentas where we have been, the birds wasn't seen, because we record all birds possible. If you compare to other ways like eBird and other types of lists, way to record birds, we never know how much time a person has spent in an area. We don't know the birds, if they record all birds, so they ask to record the interested birds. So this is the importance of following a strict protocol as we have, as with the African Bird Atlas and South African Bird Atlas. So Africa is close enough to equator that the grid based on latitude and longitude works. So they will quite square. If you go up to my place in southern Sweden, these 5 times 5 minutes will make a rectangular. So we can't use that kind of pentas here. So, and the penta turned out to be a convenient area to work through in a few hours, if you plan a little bit before, especially. And the coverage map that I've shown you is extremely motivating for atlasers going out. You look for white spots, and if you see a lot of colorful area, and then you see a white spot, it triggers you to go there, or it triggers you to turn yellow to red, because then I've been down twice. So, and you see clusters of atlas areas, but there's nothing in between. Then you get triggered to fill in the gap between, follow a road between, so you connect these two clusters. So with a new protocol from South African Bird Atlas and what we use in Kenya and Nigeria and elsewhere is that we do continuously throughout the year. So we get a very good information on migration. And we have seen there have been 2 papers published on barn swallows and a 12 species paper of intra-African and Palearctic migrants. If anyone is interested in these papers, I can give you the references if you contact me. So we don't only get the distribution, but we also get the seasonal timing of migration. The first atlas, South African atlas, led to 2 big books of non-passerines and passerines. And then they continue for a new atlas. If you don't have time to make the full list, 2 hours, you can just download what you see, or even single observations of interest can be entered into the system. But then as an ad hoc list and also as a full protocol. But these are also valuable for the big outcome. There's also possibilities to record birds, just take photos when you don't know them, and then you upload them to the bird pics that is a part of Virtual Museum that you find if you Google Virtual Museum, ADU, or just Virtual Museum. And then you get a georeferenced ID, and you get a georeferenced because you know the position, and the ID will be told by an expert panel sitting behind and looking at these bird pics. And you can do that for any taxa, more or less: snakes, dragonflies, butterflies, scorpions, name it. So if you're interested in other taxa and birds too, I really recommend you to find out what Virtual Museum can teach you. So these records make a huge difference to producing the basic distribution maps, even if they are not full protocol. So we get know-how, knowledge about how the birds distribution and records of species outside the full protocol list. Yes, okay. So the pentad, you are in a pentad, you need to know, to start a new list, you have to go into the next pentad. So what is the alternative to full protocol? Is that you have a GPS position of every bird you see. This produces data that cannot be analyzed properly, because effectively every record is an ad hoc list. And again, with this type of data, we don't know if a person have recorded all birds or it's just what is interesting on, and or what is beautiful or whatever. eBird often do that, but eBirds also, if you're not very careful, we work with eBird will actually put the position to birds, not to where you are, but to a hotspot. So if you are around Shire Hills, which is quite, it's a small, but big enough to be more than one pentad. If you don't tell the eBird that I was here and there and there, eBird will put all the records to Shire Hills. Or even worse if you are in Molle. Or even worse again if you are in Kruger. You can spend 1 week in Kruger and all your records will be put in Kruger, just like Kruger, central Kruger, in a place that is 20,000 square kilometers, 400 kilometers from north to south. So we actually don't know where the records are. And if you tell this to the eBird people, they will be quiet. So what can we get? Here is an example from Southern Africa of curlew sandpiper. And over the period from Sabab 1 to Sabab, the first atlas to the second atlas. And the red squares mean that there has been a big decrease, and blue, big increase. And you see that the red and orange is in majority. This means that there's been all over South Africa, there's been a big decrease in the observation of curlew sandpiper, which is a wader migrating from Siberia, from the Taimyr Peninsula in north-central Russia. A bird species with a different pattern is the Egyptian goose, that from the Bird Atlas 2 to from the Atlas 1 to Bird Atlas 2 show a big increase all over South Africa. So now you can find Egyptian goose all over South Africa, and even in many places in Europe where it's considered a pest species, and you're actually more or less obliged to shoot it if you're allowed to shoot birds in Sweden and Denmark and other places. So Animal Demography Unit and FEEDS believes that it's not good enough to say thank you to our citizen scientists. We believe our mission is to convert them into ambassadors for biodiversity. And we actually have a real ambassador for biodiversity with us today, which is great news. And if you want to know more about this, we have Facebook pages. There is one African, other national bird atlas page, Facebook group pages. Even in Kenya, and we haven't really come so far in Nigeria, but in Kenya we can do maps of more common species. Here we see the dark-capped bulbul distribution, and the colored areas are squares where the bulbul have been found, and the white are areas where being visited but that you didn't see the bulbul. So you can see that from this you can model a quite nice distribution. We were talking about temporal variation. The barn swallow, this is data from Kenya again. The barn swallow is a European migrant. Comes, here we have summer, is 5-day period starting 1st of January. So during this time of year, there is very few swallows in Kenya. But from now, end of August, beginning of September, the numbers will increase, and then through the winter that will stay stable. And then by April, March, April, beginning of May, they want to, they go, do I talk too long? There's a few, there's only a few left. So, and redback shrike is another migrant summer, then to return again in April when they have a peak again and disappear, just passing through Kenya. And then a bulbul that is all year around. You see the reporting rate is similar all over the period. And you also have intra-African migrants, the red-capped robinchat, that are around during this the little wet season you have soon, but otherwise is not in Kenya. So it's an intra-African migrant that you can see on the reporting rate that they are coming and leaving. So the African Bird Atlas is African ornithology's greatest need. Africa can't do either proper research or conservation without it. It's also European ornithology's greatest need. European ornithology's final frontier is knowing where their birds go in winter and what they do. And that is a big issue, big question for us, because a lot of birds that migrate to Africa are decreasing. So we have a protocol, we have a plan, we have a method. We already have 10 countries involved, 5% of Pentrads Africa is done. So we need more countries, we need more workshops, we need more individuals, we need collaborations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. So I think one of the main things that we sort of, for me, that really registered is that the Atlasin is not just a research initiative. It's not just a research tool. It's for public engagement. It is also for policy. And I hope that many of the people in this meeting will take that on board and will be able to use this tool. So I'll quickly like to move on and give the floor to Dr. Justus Daikuma and invite him to speak on the cultural importance of birds in the Ghanaian society. So this is taking it now, bringing it all back to Ghana where we are. So Dr. Daikuma, you have the floor.
Dr. Ospino. You can see I am sharing an office with Joseph at the moment. I ran into the meeting from another meeting and my computer just crashed. So my slides are being fixed. So when it's done, I can go back there. But I'm going to just say a big thank you to everybody for joining the meeting. The organizers of this meeting have done a great job, and I applaud them for this. Ghana Wildlife Society, well done for taking the initiative. I'm particularly happy for BirdLife International's interest in moderating this. And I thank Ulf, my very good friend, for agreeing to speak to the meeting. I'm so proud to see Sam Ivande, Dr. Talatu, and my very good friends from Aplori also on board. Good morning to everybody. I am supposed to be talking about the cultural importance of birds in the Ghanaian society. And I have 10 minutes, therefore you might not see much of any slides because I'm going to talk from, my slide is on my computer in my office. I'm borrowing the office. Despite the very crucial use of birds traditionally in Ghana and globally, there are very critical issues that are associated with the way we use birds in our culture. The first thing we normally will see in Ghana is some clans use birds as the symbols of their communities. For example, there is a clan called the Asona clan, which is basically an Akan group. They use a crow, the pied crow, as the totem. And everybody else knows them by that totem. There is another tribe or clan in Ghana that is called the Esachir clan. The vulture is their totem. And therefore, they respect the vulture as a sacred animal, and then they will not kill it, they will not eat it, they will not hurt it. There are other uses of many other species of birds for different reasons in society. An example of this is the use of birds in traditional medicine. Several traditional medicine, what we call juju in Ghana, speaking to a number of traditional medicine practitioners, indicated that there is no single juju which gives you enough power that does not contain any part of a vulture. What that means is that people necessarily have to harvest the parts of the vulture, for example, which will mean that they have to kill the animal to harvest the parts. Others use the eggs of some vultures. For example, a study I have conducted before indicated that in recent work that Dorcas is doing, she is better to speak to that. Others use some parts of the vultures to cure bedwetting. People use the eye of crows as medicine to cure madness. People use the tail feathers of the long-tailed nightjar to gain power, spiritual strength. In the Ghanaian national emblem, there are two golden eagles, or there are yellow eagles. We still ask which eagles are those. Perhaps signifying strength. There is a local use of a bird which turns to the back and pick its golden egg, the Sankofa sign of the Ghanaian society. Interestingly, there are certain issues that pertain to the use of some of the animals as well. Despite this significant importance in many societies, some people still persecute these very animals that others see as totems, as sacred, as very important, and they are spiritually connected to them. People, particularly scriptures, religion particularly, has persecuted some of the animals, giving them bad names. Some tribes, some traditional priests will not have anything to do with certain kind of birds because they are classified as evil. The owls have part of that to play. The vultures are involved in those same as well. People also see crows as signs of evil. Although other people see the presence of certain birds as useful in their environment. So in a rather shorter presentation, I think the Ghanaian society have used birds widely, apart from using them as food, apart from seeing them as animals that have some prospects in the agroforestry industry where they disperse fruits and plants for them naturally. Others use them for specific spiritual connections, whilst others still persecute them. So in all, I believe that one of the things that we can tap on is where people use the birds for positive reasons, then we concentrate our efforts on that and then highlight those positive parts of the birds and then discourage them where necessary by talking to them through environmental campaigns or awareness creation programs to discourage them from where they will take advantage of weak, unscientific ideas and then destroy our bird diversity. I think the bird atlasing program doesn't need a scientist necessarily to do that. Therefore, when we start Ghana Bird Atlasing program, we would involve all local people, particularly including traditional medicine people and opinion leaders who directly use these animals, and then they will see the benefits of what they are doing. With that, I think our Atlasing program would succeed. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. There's actually quite a lot there, and it's unfortunate that we did not have your slide. But if you are happy to share your slides later, we might be able to just email it for people to be able to get a visual appreciation. I'm quite interested in the one where you talked about both in terms of the positive and the what we might call negative importance of these birds, negative to the birds in themselves. So we celebrate them on the one hand, but on the other time for this. There are questions that are coming up in the chat, and we're trying to moderate those, but we do have a full Q&A at the end. So if it is okay to move on with time, I would like to talk about the invite both Dorcas Susu and Thomas of GWS to give us a quick talk on the bird clubs in Ghana. So sort of giving us an appreciation of what is being done locally now and where we stand. So if Thomas is ready, or Dorcas, okay. So Dorcas, if you are ready, we'll like to give you the floor to speak quickly, and then Thomas will tag in after that. Is Dorcas ready?
Yes.
All
Thank you
right.
very much, Mr. Daniel. Thank you very much, Dr. Uf and Dr. Jesus Dekuma for the presentation. As Mr. Daniel said, my name is Dorcas Susu, and I'm currently the vetting coordinator for Atlassing in Ghana. And I'll just talk briefly about the bird watching and Atlassing aspect in Ghana so far. To the best of my knowledge, we do have bird watchers in Ghana. I just can't give a specific number. That is an assignment for us. But we do have bird watchers from Kakum National Parks, the national parks in Ghana, Boli National Parks. We have bird watchers from Ghana Wildlife Society. And then from bird clubs, Cape Coast Bird Club, most of them are Pluri students, but we do have ornithologists from the various national parks in there. And we have bird watchers in academia, like my supervisor, Justice Dekuma. However, we have few atlases. People that use the bird Lassa app in Ghana. So for instance, it's been like less than 5 ornithologists for 2020, the year 2020, which is not too bad, but not encouraging as well. Hoping that at the end of this workshop, things are going to change. And so far we have 174 species through bird atlasing. When we combine all the years, bird atlasing has been going on in Ghana, but 160 species for just 2020. And then out of 2,764 pentats, we've covered 36. I don't want to compare myself, I don't want to compare Ghana to Nigeria. That would rather discourage us, but we do have a lot to change or a lot to learn. And so far we've done, we've covered 1.3% as compared to Nigeria, and yeah. And when we look at this year's submissions, because we have few atlases, most of the submissions come from the Savannah region, Central region, and Greater Accra region. And yeah, so basically that is it. And we are hopeful that since we have bird watchers in Ghana, at the end of this workshop, we are going to see a bigger change in Ghana. Yeah, thank you. So that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Dorcas. I jump in straight. I would like to share just a screen, please. That's just behind. Okay, thank you. I'm sure you see my screen. I'll be very brief, just like Dorcas. And like Dorcas said, there are some birders in Ghana, but atlases are very few. And let me just say we are corporate. We have a bird club in Accra, but we've not been atlasing. Our bird club basically is a citizen science program that aims to promote the conservation of people in nature conservation. And then it serves as a platform to train people in bird identification, do site monitoring, and then give people the chance to be out there to appreciate nature. But we have not been atlasing. That's so unfortunate. This thing is done once every month, and it is on the first Saturday of the month. We have been monitoring 4 sites over the past 5, 6, 7 years. That's since 2012, and we have quite a good data at Densu Delta, Ramsar site, University of Ghana Botanical Gardens, Sakumo Lagoon Ramsar site, and then Dawenya irrigation project site. These sites have varied or different bird species, or you're expecting to see a range of birds. At the Sakumono, the Densu Delta site, you're expecting to see some foreign birds. That's not the right way to use though. You're expected to see migrant birds. They are mostly water birds because it's a water area. At the University of Ghana, you're expecting to see land birds. At the Sakumono is also another Ramsar site, and it's also water birds, migrant birds, local resident water birds, and then the Dawenya irrigation dam, you get some inland water birds and then land birds as well. So these sites have been chosen strategically to increase or to boost the interest of our people in bird watching. Started in 2012, like I said, it was much patronized by the experts, and then some few expert birders in Ghana. But now, thanks to God, the patronage is increasing. We have about 30 Ghanaians who patronize this walk or this activity almost every month. We have special walks for school kids or school children, which is the junior wing, the bird life clubs of Ghana Wildlife Society. We also do organize special ones for GWS members. You know, it's a membership-based organization. We have individual members, we have corporate members. Some corporate members, we do organize it for them and this is absolutely free, just to boost the interest of people in bird watching. For the individual members, when they come together, we can organize special ones for them. Now, we also have such things in our project site. This was one we organized in the North Damongo specifically, which was our project site. And then we do set things to boost the interest of people in bird conservation. So just like Dr. Dekuma said, we need to bring the citizens, we need to bring everybody on board, the inhabitants of which area we go, the stakeholders of birds, including the traditionalists, the medicine, the juju men, like he said, and the rest together to conserve birds. So like Dorcas has said, we need to coordinate our activities well. And then from now on, we are starting the bird atlasing. And I'm sure from here, most of our members who do patronize the bird walk are now going to shift to atlasing. And we are going to intensify our training efforts or the efforts in training birders in Ghana so that together we can make this bird atlas a success. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I'm going to stop sharing. That was quite informative, both talking about what's being done in Cape Coast and what is being done in Accra. So now shifting gears, going into the more technical side of things, I'm going to give the floor to Nanchin from Aplori. So we're going to be going across to Nigeria and she's going to be talking about the atlasing work being done by Aplori, just in a bit more detail, before we give the floor to Dr. Talatu Tende to take us through in greater detail. So first, we'll have Nanchin speak. So Nanchin, you have the floor. Hello, Nanchin.
Maybe she has problem with her.
She started sharing her screen.
Aha.
Okay,
Good.
great. Nancy, can you check your microphone volume as well? Because we can't hear you.
She has to unmute it.
Because yeah, it's gonna flip the, let me. Hello, Nanchin. I think to start the slideshow, if you go either down to the bottom, next to the percentage, next to the slider, yes. So go a little bit more to, go a little more to the left.
Go to your left. No, the other one. Yes.
So she can hear us, but we can't hear her.
Okay, so we have your slide. Do we have your voice?
I think she has to unmute the audio.
Yeah, it shows that she's unmuted here. I'm worried whether the microphone that might not be picking up her voice. Hello, Nanchin.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, you have the floor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, please, for taking your time. So I will just go and briefly and then tell you about the lessons and experience from Nigeria. So I will start from the background. Nigeria, of course, as we all know, is a black square with over 900 species of birds. And of course, we have diverse habitats and rapidly growing population of almost 200 million people, which of course daily is increasing the dependence on the environment, resulting to a degrading environment. And so therefore there's a need to promote the natural history, culture, and then create awareness out there to the normal local, or let's say the citizen science. Then, of course, it has been mentioned before, we have less than 200 bird watchers. And so therefore we need more. And so we need a bridge that will be able to reach out to these people and then create awareness. So in 2015, the Nigerian Bird Atlas Project was set up. And this is an initiative of the AP Leventis Ornithological Research Institute with technical support from the Animal Demographic Unit in Cape Town, South Africa. And then our main aim is to update the information about birds distribution, and as well as engaging the normal Nigerian citizen into what we are doing. So the Nigerian Bird Atlas strategy was to start with a dedicated atlasing. And of course, it started with this theme of 3 individual, and gradually it's growing. And as we're growing, we're recruiting many Aplori alumni spread across the nation. And then, as, of course, training IT students that come into Aplori to do their IT training. And by doing this, we hope to increase awareness and also to recruit more volunteers into the project. And then another strategy is to create bird clubs. And these bird clubs was to match the trained ornithologists with just people that are curious about nature, or family and friends, local people around. And by this, we hope to match the skill and the unskilled. And at the end of everything, the benefit is to get quality data control and then be able to exchange information. So with this map is showing where Aplori alumni are located or are spread all over the country. And so the best strategy actually is built on this. And from the start, we just have 2 bird clubs, the Ibadan Bird Club and then the Lekki Bird Club, which mostly, is being run by foreigners, I would say. But then gradually, with the introduction of the bird club strategy, we actually have bird clubs spread almost all over the country. And then we still need more on this ones now that is Black, and we need more bird clubs in these other areas. So the progress so far from 2015 to August 2020, we have about 2,395 pentats that have been surveyed, and then over 197 volunteers. And then when you look over the map now that you're seeing, these core areas around Ibadan, then the southeast, south area, and then the Jos bed around Jos, and then the northern part of Nigeria, you see that this area have quite a lot of pentats being surveyed, which of course is due to these clubs and atlas teams that are spread across the country. So to summarize everything, from the onset, we just have 2 bird clubs, but now we have way over 23 bird clubs, and with 800 members of these people in this club, and which of course we are increasing daily. And then we have this 4 atlas team, which are dedicated, has a group of people with dedicated interests for nature and are willing to set out time to time to do atlasing across the nation in their various regions. And then this project actually started with 3 atlasers, but now we have almost 200 volunteers, and we have this Facebook group which there are way over 3,000 followers. So for the challenges that we're experiencing here with the Nigerian Bird Atlas project, we still have issue with volunteering, because sometimes you have to like literally drag people to come out for the bird club's meeting. And then in terms of equipment, we still need more binoculars and bird guides. And for funding, we need money to fund Atlas trips and then organize workshops and creating awareness to bring in more volunteers. And then we also need funding to start up new bird clubs. You know, these challenges are still there, but we are still moving on and we're optimistic of success. And to just briefly share the lessons learned so far, you know, it's very important to identify and organize existing community. By doing this, you will be able to have this strategy of bird clubs working, because actually it's working for us here. And for a place like Ghana, I believe you can actually adopt this model and it will work for you. And then you have to invest time. That's what we've learned, that for you to keep moving, you need to invest time to create awareness. So organizing seminars and public talks, and also using the social media, like the WhatsApp, the Twitter, the Facebook, we'll be able to reach out to more people that will be interested to join in the project. And also training. Training is very, very important, because that's the only way that you will be able to bring in more people, to build capacity and be able to have a database that is actually usable. Because when you train the people, you give them the capacity to do that which is right when they are out there in the field. And so for funding, you know, you will need a dedicated fundraising team with a good strategy in place, because all other things that I have mentioned will not be possible unless you have a good funding source. So with that, I want to say thank you and then acknowledge all our supporters and of course the esteemed citizen science who are out there constantly uploading data into the database. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Nanchin. Thanks for that. And yes, so in the interest of time, I'm going to suggest that we press on. I am going to give the floor to Dr. Talatu Tende. So she's now going to take us through the more technical side of things. So she's going to, yes. So Dr. Talatu, I'm going to be turning the floor over to you. Should everybody bring out their phones at this point, or how would you be having us do this?
Probably not, but maybe people can bring out their phones. Hello.
So thank you very much. But yes, you do have the floor now. Thank you very much, Dr. Tende. Yeah, she wanted to. So one sec. So I think, yes, while we just wait to get everything set. Why are we sharing screen?
I was trying to.
Sorry about that. So yes, we'll wait for Dr. Talatu Dr. Tende to take us through. She's going to give us an introduction to the Bird Lasser app and its applications. She'll be talking about the protocol for the installation of Bird Lasser on participants' mobile phones and the online registration system. Dr. Tende, thank you very much.
Good day, everyone. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, good day, everyone, and nice to see everybody Dorcas, Joseph, and my friend Justus. It's so really very nice. Nancy, thank you very much for a very nice presentation. I'm going to take us through the applications that has made Nigerian bird watchers, ornithologists crazy. So I'm going to try as well to share my screen. Wait. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay. So I'm going to briefly and quickly take us through the BirdLaser app and its application. As the High Commissioner said before, let me just take us through a little bit of story before I give my talk. You know, when this BirdLaser app started, I was a little bit skeptical. Sam is online here, Sam T. Evande. We started just very few of us, and we were expected to go around the country to Atlas, create awareness, and so on and so forth. And then the BirdLaser app was launched. Sam started up, and I refused. No, I have to go to the field with my book and my pencil, my GPS, because I need to take coordinates and know the pentad I'm in, or to be sure I'm in my pentad. So for me, BirdLaser was no, 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 no. But interestingly, along the way, I grabbed the challenge and tried to use the BirdLaser. My people in Ghana, this thing is fun when you start, and you will really not even want to drop your phone. Almost everyone now uses Android phone, isn't it? I'm sure everyone that is here has an Android phone. And every time we are on our phone, it's either you are moving, you have your head on your phone, you're either chatting or you're doing something on your phone. And apart from chatting, you can enjoy using your phone to record birds as you move around. You don't have to dress up, be in the field before you can record birds. You can just be in your house, at your backyard, and record your birds with the help of the BirdLaser. So I'm going to take us through that. As I said before, when we started, for me, it's nothing like mobile app. I am not interested. I prefer old school, my book and my pencil, because that was what I started with and I didn't want to drop it. And then the BirdLaser came on. So if we have our phones, you can download the BirdLaser from the App Store, Google App Store, for people that want to do it now. But if we want to do that now, I guess it's going to take a lot of time. I am so happy that we have our Aplori graduates in Ghana that can help people to install this after this time. But if it's something that we can do now, you can just go to the Google App Store and then you check for BirdLaser. You download the BirdLaser. And when that is downloaded, you have to register. If you look at my screen, you download, this is what you have when you download it. And when you download it, you have to put in your email address and put your password to be able to register and get set to use the BirdLaser. The BirdLaser, I promise you, is fun and is addictive. By the time you start to use this app, you don't want to keep your phone down. Any bird you hear while you are in your house, you want to put it down. It's that simple. And I was so glad to see the presentation by Thomas that there is a monthly outing that is being organized, that people go out in the field. You have to teach the community people, create awareness about the importance of the environment. While you are doing that, if Ghana Wildlife Society coordinates with bird watchers around, that already Dorcas, Joseph, Ajima, several people that have come to Aplori already have the bird laser on their phone. So if you have these people together with you,
Sorry, excuse me.
while you are out in the field and you are trying to communicate awareness within the community, and then they are there, they are recording birds. With the number of places I have seen you show that you often go for your outing, I am very sure that Ghana will do better than Nigeria in less time than we think, using this app, which is very, very fun and is very, very addictive. So this is the first step. You download from the Google App Store. When you download, you have this, and then you register by putting in your email address and then your password. And after you do that, you are set to go. You have downloaded it. You have put in your email address, your password, you have registered. Now you are good to go. I think we can unmute our phones, please, our mics, so that I know that I'm on the same page with people.
Okay, so
hello, Dayo.
if anyone has any feedback,
listening.
you can continue.
Yeah.
But anyone that has a lot
Okay.
of background noise, please mute
okay.
so that it doesn't distract everyone.
So it means that I can't be presenting now and then we do the installation, but then people see the processes that it takes.
Okay.
So at this stage, let's believe you have been able to download the bird laser and you have registered and you are already set where you are seated. You can hear the common boo-boo from your window. Then you click on this plus sign to be able to create a trip card. A trip card is just like a data sheet. You go to the field and you go with your book, or you go with your data sheet and you want to record your birds on, let's say you are doing a point count or transit, and then you want to record the birds that you see and the birds that you hear on the point that you are. So you click on this plus sign to create a trip card or to create a data sheet, and you want to give it a name so that you know where you collected your data from. You have created this trip card, and here you give it a trip name. You create your trip card, you give it a trip name. This card, I created it when I went to Sierra Leone, Atlassian. So you give it a trip name. You can decide to be maybe University of Cape Coast. You are along the coast, you give it a trip name, and then you have to turn on your bird map. You can see it here, you turn it on to begin your atlasing. And when you finish all these processes, you click on the arrow where I'm pointing at now to add your trip card. That is done. You have already created a trip card, successfully created a trip card, and now you want to start recording your bird species. In Atlassing, we record birds based on how we hear or see them. You record them the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and so on and so forth. By so doing, you have an idea about bird occurrence in a place, which birds are more common when you go to a particular place. One good thing with bird laser, it helps you keep track of these numbers. So you have successfully created your trip card. You want to start to log your bird species. You click on this log, That is, you want to start to record your bird species. You click on the log, and when you click on the log, it brings a list of birds. So to make it very, very fast, let's say for instance, you heard common boo-boo and you want to log in common boo-boo. To make it, instead of going through a list of several thousands, you can just quickly search here. If you type bulbul, it brings out all the list of bulbuls, and then you can add it up. So as you search, you can see here, you search for instance, white crow, it brings it out, and then you add it to it. I told you that BirdLassa records, or in Atlasing, you record based on how you hear and see the bird species. This record here, the first one that was recorded was the African thrush. We see that it was recorded on June 5th. It gives you an idea of the exact time you recorded your bird species. It gives you an idea of the exact time and even place. You know your pentad number, which is here. This is the pentad I was in at this particular time. And this record, I started atlasing on the 4th of June. So these bird species are recorded according to how you hear or how you see them. Interestingly, in BirdLassa, you can also indicate whether the species you are recording is something that you have seen or something that you have heard. And also, you can decide to just have it, your app, you can put it either for you to be seeing the list of species, or you can click on this window, this thing that looks like a window, to take you to the map instead of having the list of species. So if you click on this window, it means you have opened the map, and on that you are standing. So I have clicked on the window, which is this map, this window here, and then the map opens up. Instead of having a list of species, now I have my map open. Now I have my map open, and we can see the red bubble just gives you an idea of where you have recorded a particular species at a particular time. So BirdLassa is really, really very fun. It's very, very easy. It's so nice. It's so very, very simple for you to record data, even while you travel. As we travel, as we move around, you are walking around with friends, you are hearing birds, you are recording. You don't need to put on your field gear. You're on the field before you can atlas. No, anywhere you are with BirdLassa, it is fun, it is addictive. You can record your bird species at any time that you want. So let's say you have gone to the field and then you decided, okay, I'm atlasing now. As Professor Oof explained before, for a full protocol, you have to spend at least 2 hours. It can be more. The least is 2 hours. Or you can decide to do ad hoc. Let's say you are within this pentad, and you are going to be within this pentad for a period of 5 days. You are recording your bird species, but I am tired and I need to go and take a rest. So you can decide to pack what we will call pack your trip card. That is, you want to stop your app from reading while you are not recording. Because if you are not recording and then your app is reading, you might go and submit about 5 species and you have spent about 10 hours. So you want to stop your app from reading. So you can pack your trip card by clicking here. Oh, sorry. So you can pack your trip card by clicking here. It means you are stopping it. I'm going to come back later to continue. For now, I want to stop it. So you pack your trip card. But then let's say you are around this place, but you don't think you are going to go back again. Instead of packing your trip card, you are finished. I have a list of records I have done in Freetown. So I want to submit. I'm not going to go back. are finished from that pentad, you have your different pentads that you have visited. So now you want to decide that, okay, you want to submit. So you see these dots, these 3 dots here, you click on the 3 dots, it takes you to submit to bedmap. Submit to bedmap means you are finished with that pentad, you want to submit what you have collected. Or you have not finished, but I'm not really going to be able to spend up to 2 hours. It's just 30 minutes I have on that pentad. It's just 15 minutes. I decided to go to the village to visit my people, and now I'm going back. So I've decided I'm going to submit. So you click here to submit your card. Also, it is also possible, maybe you have recorded a species that you don't think is right. You can click, it's possible for you to edit your trip card. You click to edit observation, and you can see here that you have unpack. You can unpack to continue your record. You can also, for people that go to do, like students, you go to the field to collect data, and you are not going with data sheets, and you decide data, you can export as CSV file, which comes out as your Excel. So you export this trip card, you can use it for analysis. So this is just same place as the previous place where you can click to be able to submit your card, which you have, your species which you have collected on your card. And in trying to submit your card, by default, when you click to submit to bedmap, by default, you get less than 2 hours on the pentad. So you have to be the person to be able to change it to full protocol, which means you have spent up to 2 hours. Book and pencil, people's eagerness was not really much. But after the introduction of bird-less, and this was just like several years back, around 2016 and 17, this was a map that was made from South African Bird Atlas Project, how to show how the bird-less has influenced citizen science in Africa. You can see and agree with me that with bird-less, it has been so fun for people to go to the field. So many people are interested in going to the field now because people are crazy about holding phones, and not just holding phones. bird-less is like, to me, I tell people, I say, having bird-less on my phone is like playing game. I'm so very eager. As I travel, I want to record all that I hear because I have bird-less. It's not like before that I need to, okay, and look for my book and my pencil to record all that I have heard. So with bird-less, my Ghanaian people, it's fun and you are going to enjoy atlasing and you are going to have a great time. You have Joe with you, you have Dorcas, you have Ajima, we have several people, Sule, several people that have gone through this and know so much about bird-less. So Ghana Bird Atlas Project, I tell you, you are going to go maybe faster than what we have done in Nigeria. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much for that. That was actually very, very useful. I will admit I haven't done a lot of atlasing myself. I was looking at my own app and I only have 2 trips, but I'm hoping that at the next bird walk, which will be the first Saturday in September, hopefully a lot of people will be showing up with their phones and doing a lot of atlasing. But I hope that people will also start using this around their houses and start atlasing. So we're hoping that we'll get more records for Ghana. So just to move on, if that's okay, I would like to give the floor now to Dr. Ivande, Dr. Sam Ivande, to take us through the web portal. So looking at the data side of things so that we can understand what we are contributing to by submitting all of this data. Like I said, we're still going to have a big Q&A session at the end. We're almost there now, but if it's okay, everyone, please, this is really the crux of the matter. So thank you very much. I would like to turn the tables, or give the floor to Dr. Sam Ivande.
Okay, thank you very much, Dayo. Hello, everyone. It's good to listen to all the previous speakers. Really interesting stuff. Really good to hear about what is going on in Ghana. So it's raining right now. It's pouring very heavily. I hope it's not the background noise is not too bad. So I'm supposed to talk about the web portal and how we can get a better experience using the web portal. Unfortunately, the website is down at the moment. So I've just been checking and it's still down. So I would not be able to take you through the web portal and how we can get a better experience going through the web portal. But it's very good that we have listened to Dr. Talatu talk about the Bird Lasser app, which you will mainly be interacting with. It more or less does more than 80% of the job for you. But there are a few advantages that the web portal still has. So one of the key things that you can do on the web portal, first of all, is to register. So you would need to register on the web portal and to get an observer number. And you need that observer number to be able to use Bird Lasser properly. So one of the things that you need to know is after downloading Bird Lasser and using your email address to have it registered, you would still need to input somewhere your observer number and your observer name. So that is the key that allows your data to move from the app into the database. Like I said, I kind of have a bit of a challenge doing this now that now that the web portal is down. I will very quickly just share some old slides from just to give you a sense of what you can do on the website from when. Okay, can you see my screen? If I can just get a thumbs up from anyone, if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, so again, my name is Sam Ivande. I am part of the Nigeria Bird Atlas team based at the Flori. And just to give you a quick sense of what the web portal can do. So when we started, the web portal for us, the Nigeria Bird Atlas project, was based at this address. So it was at the, or it is at the address nigeriabirdatlas.adu.org.za. So if you click on that, it will take you to the website. But now we are currently in the stage where we are moving to the new website or the new web portal, and you can find it at this address. So at the moment, any one of this that you click will take you to the web portal. But I would actually encourage you all to use the new web portal. So if you go to this address, so nigeria.birdmap.africa, it should take you to the new web portal. And one of the first things that I imagine most of you will be doing while you visit the new web portal is to register. But then, just to kind of give you a sense of what you can do through the web portal, so some of the things that Dr. Talato has talked about, for you to be able to record your bird list and then have that moved into the web portal. But you can also do this directly by using the web portal. And when we started, we had the notebooks like Dr. Talato was saying. We had the notebooks and we had the GPS, you know, you go out and do your checklist while keeping track of your environment, knowing which center you're in. And then when you come back from the field, you then sit down on your computer and then you visit the website to upload this data. Or you can also come to the website ahead of your plan to go out to the field. So you make a plan for where you are going to atlas. So when you come to the web portal, this is what the old portal looks like. So you will come to the web portal, and one of the options you have is coverage map. So if you click on coverage map, you then get a map to see, wherever it is that you are interested in. So in this case, this is an example from Nigeria. This is from some old slides that I had. So this is the map of Nigeria, and this is really in the early days when we were just starting. Anywhere you are interested in visiting, you just need to move your mouse pointer and click on that general area, and you will get a bubble that comes out to tell you what pentad you have clicked on. So you can try and locate maybe your neighborhood, your town on the map, and then you will get a bubble that gives you the pentad code for your area. If you click on that bubble, it will then give you like a zoomed in image of your area with the red boundaries showing you the extent of the pentad that you might be interested in atlasing. So by doing this, in the old days, which is not very long ago, before BirdLasser, we will do this, and then you can print this map and then use this as a guide when you go out and do your checklist. So this is how we started before BirdLasser came. So again, this is probably going to give you a sense of some of the advantages that we now have using BirdLasser. And once you have that, you can take it out with you to the field, do your checklist, and then you are, just like map reading in the old days or with geography, you have your map with you, and so you keep within the boundaries of the pentad while you make your list. So once you are done, and you have, for example, spent 2 hours of bird watching, you have made your list, you can now come back to the web portal again, and this time you are coming back with the intention of loading this checklist to the database. You have to do this through the web portal. So again, you visit the website, you log into your account. Again, just to very quickly mention, if you have not registered and you do not already have an observer number, when you go to the website at the address that I showed you, there is the option for register. And if you click on register, you will get a form that takes some basic details and bio data from you. And you will then get an observer number that will be emailed to you, and you can use that to log in when you then visit the website subsequently. But after you have finished your checklist while out in the field, you want to upload that data to the web portal. Let's assume that you have not had the opportunity to use BirdLasser, so you want to do it through the web portal. You can come back and click on add a field sheet. Now, this may look different on the new website. I will have to keep emphasizing that. But basically, these links and these keys are all the same on the new website. So there is the option for add a field sheet. And once you click on add a field sheet, one of the things that comes out, you can see something that says new field sheet. There are a few forms, a few details rather, that you will need to provide. Automatically, once you have logged in, your observer number will come out, or your citizen science number will come up. You will need to provide information about the pentad that you have visited, so you put that in there. You also need to provide a date, so it's always very important to keep track of your start date and your start time, because you will need to provide that information when you visit the web portal to upload your data. So you need to provide the start date and the start time. You would also need to provide the end date. So remember, we said that for a full protocol, it's a minimum of 2 hours. So if you have done about 2 hours, your start and end date will be the same. But then the protocol also allows you to keep your list for as long as 5 days. So you can start your list today, and if you are going to be visiting the same pentad again, you can keep your list open for the next 5 days if you are going to continue bird watching in the same pentad over that duration. So if we have an example where you have done 5 days in the pentad, then your start date will be the day when you started the list, and then the end date will be 5 days later. You could have done it for 3 days, in which case the end date will be 3 days later. So you also need to provide that information. Then you need to keep track of the time. So your start time, you also need to provide that information. So once you have all of that provided, the next thing you need to do is to go to the column where you are then able to save all of this information that you have provided. So if you go to that point, you will save the trip card that you are about to upload data for. You save the trip card, and then it takes you to the next page where you then have a form where you are going to enter all of the birds in sequence as you have seen them. That is also something very interesting about the Bird Atlas protocol. So it is expected that all the birds you see, you record in sequence. So the first bird you see, if it was a common bulbul, it will have number 1. And if the next one you see is maybe an African thrush, then it gets number 2. So you need to keep track of the sequence in which you have seen birds, because you would also need that information when you upload this data into the web portal. So after completing the information about the pentad and how much you have done with the protocol, you will need to provide some information about how many species you saw in the first hour, how many species you saw in the second hour and the third hour. And then you can also provide some more information if you went out in a group. So if there are more than, if there is more than one observer, you have gone out with someone, and they are also registered and have an observer number, you can add the observer number where it says additional observers. So that's right there. You can also add that information in there. And once you have done all of that, you are now set to begin to add the species in sequence in the same way that you saw them in the field and also recorded them. So to do that, you would also need to provide a sequence number. So in this example, you would come to the part of the form that says sequence. You provide the sequence number, so number 1, and then you come in here and search for the species that you want to upload. So if it's a common bulbul, you type bulbul, all the bulbuls are listed, and then you pick the species, and then you click on the plus button to add that to your list. So if you have your list, you just go through your notebook and then add all the species that you have recorded. And once you are done, you just need to go to the top of the page where it says submit, and then you can submit your trip card or your list. So basically, that's how the web portal, that is the part of the web portal that helps people to upload the checklist that they have made while out in the field. Again, I'm sure you can all agree with me that it is much more efficient and really user-friendly to use Birdlasser instead of coming to the web portal. But just so you know that there is the option to be able to upload your data using the web portal. There are a few other things that you can do on the web portal that I currently do not have at the moment because the website is down. But just to mention that there is the option on the web portal, if you are logged in, to be able to look at your profile. There is the option to be able to look at your profile, and it gives you information about where you have been. So it's more like